I think we should consider ourselves lucky to have grown up with such a masterpiece like the Super Mario Galaxy video game. It's almost a privilege. It's a video game with an incredible gameplay and such an amazing soundtrack. It's honestly one of the best Mario video games of all time and my personal favorite. And since Nintendo started to make movies, well, it's no surprise that the Super Mario Galaxy movie is one of the most anticipated movies of the year. And so did it live up to the hype? Well, seeing that Illumination, the same studio that created the Minions, are the ones in charge of making this movie, well, I was skeptical. But hey, let's go over my review and see if they did a great job or not. And don't forget that this entire video is subjective and that you have the right to have your own opinion. So first of all, let's talk about the couple of things that I quite like about this movie. Well, I'm pretty sure one thing that everyone can agree on about this movie is that the visuals are great. The animation looks clean, the colors are so saturated, and it's beautiful. And honestly, seeing how good the visuals of this movie are, I'm pretty sure I looked like this while watching this movie. This movie also has some great action sequences, especially during its combat scenes. There are also some cool concepts from the movie. For example, one of my personal favorite concepts from this movie is the 3D casino. It's such a cool concept and I love it. And I really wish that this casino was real, so I could gamble my life away in it. Also, Bowser Jr. as a villain works for me. He has great intentions and understandable motivations. And overall, I think he works as a villain for this movie, even though he's such a crybaby sometimes. I also really like the addition of Fox in this movie. He was honestly my favorite surprise of this movie. I find him so cool. I wish he was my daddy. And even though I don't know why he stayed with our main characters of this movie, because honestly, I think he could have left anytime he wanted, well, it was fun to see him help our characters. And finally, I think the soundtrack of this movie is amazing. And I know it's exactly the same soundtrack as the one in the Mario Galaxy game. And you know what? I think we should thank God that this soundtrack was not some kind of David Guetta remix. And yeah, that's pretty much all I like about this movie. So let's move on to the couple of things that I think could have been better, but were not that bad. Let's start with Bowser's character growth. At first, I thought that it looked promising. Bowser looked like he could have some kind of great character arc with an interesting development. But sadly, it ended up disappointing me because at the end of the movie, well, he went back to his old ways, which erased his previous character growth. Also, the humor in this movie was kind of a 50-50 for me. Sometimes some jokes made me laugh, but sometimes I found them to be a bit cringe. Like, I didn't see no popcorn fly out in the theater. And finally, one last thing that I think could have been better is the ending. I don't think I found it very satisfying. Like, I walked out of the theater feeling like, that's it? I think it could honestly have been better, because I feel like our characters didn't like learn something interesting from the adventure they went through. And us as viewers also didn't like feel satisfied by this movie. I don't know, I'm just saying. But I'm gonna talk a bit more about that in the part of this video where I talk about the things that I didn't quite like in this movie, which is where we're at now. And let's start with the story. Honestly, the story is pretty generic and unoriginal. It was not very well developed, and I feel like it's one of those movies where it's about like the power of friendship, you know, which is generic, as I said. And I also think this movie missed a bit of character arcs. Most of our characters lived an adventure, which is like the strict minimum of what's needed to make a movie interesting. But during that adventure, most of them learned nothing from it and didn't have some kind of character development of some sort. I'll give you some examples. Luigi. Can you tell me one thing that Luigi did in this movie, apart from glazing Bowser and being a comedic relief? Yeah, there's nothing. And I could also argue that the same goes for Mario. And Rosalina was also a major character of this movie, but felt abandoned like during half of the movie. She had one purpose, and that one purpose was well used, but not very well constructed, you know? I think the only character that had at least one, let's say one basic character development was Peach, which is the next point that I wanted to talk about. Peach's storyline was weirdly constructed, in my opinion. opinion. Like, she's an important character of the movie, and she had a development of some sort. She discovered that Rosalina is her sister, and during the beginning of the movie, she was wondering where she came from. And well, she had an answer for that question, but that's it. That's really it. Apart from discovering her sister, well, her story was pretty empty. But at least it was better than Luigi and Mario's stories, you know? And I also find it really funny that they canonized this fan theory going around from years ago, that like Rosalina was related to Peach in some way. Some people thought that she could be her mother. And well, turns out she's her sister, and it's canon. Shout out MatPat for this. Also, the pacing of this movie is so fast. And to me, it's a modern problem of cinema. You see, with the new generation coming out in theaters to go watch movies with their families, well, because they grow up with these electronic gadgets, well, their attention spans are very short, and they need something that keeps moving on screen, you know? So their attention needs to stay on what's on screen. And so the Mario Galaxy movie tried to make this movie very fast. But I don't like this formula. To try to please the ADHD kids, they made this movie so colorful and made its pacing go so fast. You have almost no time to analyze what's on screen and to understand what's going on in the story, which is one hell of a flaw in this movie. Now, this overall movie is also too much about putting Easter eggs everywhere. I feel like its overall story is based on putting elements together, which are Easter eggs from previous Mario games. You can't even breathe for 2 seconds without Nintendo and Illumination putting in Mario references in your face. So much that it even takes away the story of the movie, because I feel like this movie was mainly made for Mario fans that will watch this movie and go Leonardo DiCaprio style while pointing the screen. And to me, that problem is the same one as the FNAF movies have. They rely too much on Easter eggs and fan service. Our characters also visit some unimportant places that serve no future purposes. I'll give you an example. The desert in the beginning of the movie only served as a Mario Odyssey reference. And the same goes for the T-Rex. Like, they established these things in this movie, but never use them again in the future because they only serve as fan services, which again makes this movie mainly about Easter eggs than actually a good story, you know? And finally, one last thing that I don't like in this movie is the fact that there's no morale. You know, I didn't come out of the theater thinking like, wow, that was such an incredible experience that I just lived, and that I actually learned something interesting from it. And I know it's a kid's movie, but I feel like most kids movie makes you come out of the theater and makes you think about what you thought of this movie and what you learned from it, especially as a child. But the Mario Galaxy movie did not do that at all. I feel like I came out of the theater with an empty brain. But hey, maybe the real experience was the friends we made along the way. And so in conclusion, the movie is mid. I'm just gonna tell y'all straight up. It has a weak story and weak character arcs. And it's mainly about visuals and references. And like I said, this movie really reminds me of the FNAF movies. Movies that are only based on Easter eggs and fan services. And so I will give the Mario Galaxy movie a rating of 4.5 out of 10. And I cannot tell y'all if I liked this movie better than its predecessor, because I don't remember what happened in the previous Mario movie. They are that forgettable. I think the only thing that I remember are again references, like the Mario Kart references and the Super Smash Bros. References. What did you guys think of the Mario Galaxy movie? I want to hear what you guys have to say in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed or hated this video, make sure to leave a like or a dislike. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you want more content like this. I send you guys all my love and hope to see you in the next one. See y'all.